In today's miracle, we see the thing that the disciples feared, Jesus walked on. Jesus had sent the disciples out across the lake before him. I think he wanted to pray. There were so many times that Jesus withdrew and he just wanted to be with his Father to pray. And I appreciate that because it shows me that he was human too, that he got exhausted, that he got worn out as well. And the disciples have been rowing across this lake, and it says that the storm comes. They've been rowing for up to 9 hours. They are exhausted. They're completely spent. They ended up about 4 miles out. They weren't where they wanted to be. And yet, Jesus found them. He came for them. He pursued them. He did rescue them. And I think a lot of times we get these messages where people are like, oh, Jesus will come and rescue you from any storm. Listen, there's an element of that that's true, and there's an element of that isn't the complete picture. So if you think that Jesus is going to walk across any storm of your life and kind of poof you out of it, that's not the context that we're looking for. But it is true that God is going to be with you in the trials and with you in the storms. In the book of Isaiah, there's this promise, and it says, when you pass through the waters, I will be with you. And when you pass through the rivers, they will not sweep over you. What does that mean? It means there's going to be trials, there's going to be difficulties, there's going to be these waters, these floods, these rivers, these fires, it even says. And I'm right there in the midst of it. I am going to be with you. We are never alone. Jesus will walk with us through anything. In this case, when Jesus comes out on the water to them, Peter, always the one who wants to be involved, basically says, Lord, if it's you, tell me to come to you. And Jesus says, come on down. And he does, and Peter walks on water alongside of Jesus, or to Jesus. But then he starts looking at the wind and the waves, and he begins to drown, and Jesus comes, and he grabs a hold of him, and they make it back to the boat, and the disciples are in complete awe of everything that's happened. The result of this miracle, the result of this moment, is the disciples see him as he truly is. So earlier, they've been asking, what kind of man is this? Even the wind and waves obey him. But then here, right after that, they answer their own question and say, surely this man is the Son of God. And there's an interesting little tidbit in the reading for today, and it says that they worshipped him. This is the first chronological account of them actually worshiping him as the Son of God. Yes, I think that they understood that he was a good rabbi, and they had this belief that he was the Messiah, but we haven't seen them actually worship him yet. But in this moment, they do. The disciples see him as he is and respond appropriately. The miracles aren't just about oh, it's a cool moment and let's just have this cool social media post or whatever. It's not about just the moment. It's about seeing the God behind the moment. And we definitely see the disciples get a fuller picture of who Jesus really is in today's episode.